Hey witches, it's Faye the Fiend, and today we are talking about my experience with Egregores. This is not a video explaining what Egregores are. This is not a video, I'm not here to beef with you. If you don't believe Mickey Mouse can help you manifest your dreams, not my problem. I'm just here to talk about my personal experience with the Egregores that I had called upon, so that's what we're gonna do today. I technically worked with 3 Egregores. One was Gaara from Naruto, and 2 were the Weasley Twins, so they come as a set, but I did work with technically 3. I didn't worship them. I know some people think all gods are Egregores, right? So not here to argue that either. And some people think, some people do actually worship Egregores that are gods in their universe, right? Like an example would be Loki from the MCU. This wasn't a worship type of relationship. It was just kind of like, I give you something, you give me something. And just because that was my experience with Egregores doesn't mean that has to be your experience or that you're invalid, etc., etc. I'm trying not to have, I feel like every time I talk there's like an asterisk because of the bean soupification of the fucking world. But, just because it's my experience doesn't mean it has to be yours. It doesn't mean I'm wrong, that doesn't mean you're wrong, I'm just sharing my fucking story. Okay, so the first thing I want to say is you want to make sure, the thing I learned with Gaara, so we're getting into Gaara right now. The thing I learned was make sure you're contacting the correct aspect of the entity that you were working with. So I had called upon Gaara of the Desert, thinking that was his full name. That is not his full name. That's what people called him when he was like crashing out, when he was like a demon child. And I'm using demon within the context of Naruto, not referencing the Infernal Divine. Yeah, so he was crashing out and he was Gaara of the Desert. And I had accidentally contacted that version of him instead of like Shippuden Gaara, where he's like healed and nice and a world leader. And so when I had contacted him, I was just messing around. I had gotten early into work, so I sat in my car and I was like, fuck it, like let's just channel. I was just here, I'm fucking around and finding out, right? I don't really have a goal in mind. I've never really worked with an Egregore before, and I hadn't really heard of other people's experiences with Egregores, so I was just kind of like, let me use this time before work to channel the spirit and see what happens. And immediately, sorry if you can hear that banging outside. The right side, like my right temple and the right side of my face feels like it's in pain, like just like shooting pain. And then like my throat dries up and it's raspy, and I was like, ew. Like I thought I had contacted something incorrectly, like something else, or I thought that I had, that the spirit was upset or like didn't want to talk to me, and I was like, oops, that didn't go well. And so I kind of, I closed off the channeling, and I was like, I'm sorry, went into work, and then I kept thinking about that experience, and I was like, oh my god, I had contacted the incorrect version of Gaara. And it hadn't occurred to me initially because, first off, my intention was to connect with healed Gaara, but I had used the name of the wrong Gaara. That was what people referred to him when they were like scared of him or whatever. But secondly, it hadn't registered because every time I've seen him on screen, to me, the side of his face that gets taken up by Shikaku is his left side. And so, Shikaku being the demon, for those of you who aren't Naruto people, but it's his right. And so when I was channeling him, I was feeling I was like, it was a clairsentience moment where I was like feeling the pain that's inflicted on him, and I hadn't registered it because it's always on my left when I'm watching Naruto, right? And then if you just hear his voice, that explains the raspiness, which I had initially thought, like, I figured it might have been like maybe the throat chakra, like maybe this person doesn't want to talk to me, the spirit, this Egregore, and turns out, no, it was just it was the wrong guy. So you can kind of think of it, I always use the Virgin Mary as an example because it's a great example, but you know, there's Our Lady of Sorrows, there's Our Lady of Guadalupe. She has like different aspects, and people will contact different aspects depending on their culture and the reason. So that's kind of how, the same thing with an egregore, like make sure you're contacting the right version that you want to speak to. I didn't even know if they were real or not. I was just kind of like testing things out, being mischievous, seeing what worked and what didn't work. And so so I wasn't really expecting anything when I went into it. I was just kind of like, okay, well, now that I'm contacting the correct version of Gaara, can you please come to me in my dreams tonight and show me what you want to work on with me? And so that night I had a dream. It's really personal, but it was very eye-opening, and it was kind of like a message of like healing your trauma and like self-love. And when I woke up, I was like, well, that's surprisingly deep. I wasn't expecting it to get this personal, this deep, but I mean, it makes sense, right? Like if you don't know his story, he like fucking hated the world. He was like a murderer. Oops, accidentally contacted that. Afterwards, he was like, I don't want to be this monster anymore, and he kind of like heals himself. Obviously, there's more to it than that. Like there's a struggle there, and like people don't really accept him, and he has to learn to kind of accept himself, even if like he has to understand that like he isn't owed forgiveness. And it was just like surprisingly eye-opening. I was like, oh my god, I wasn't expecting to contact him to get self-love. I was just like,
that's Gaara from Naruto, he's fucking cool.
So yeah, that was surprisingly, it was deep. And then afterwards, he would come to me in my dreams, and it was very protective. So if you don't know about Gaara, again, he's known for his ultimate defense. That's literally his thing. Like, it's almost impenetrable until he dies. We're not gonna get into Naruto lore, but the point is, yeah, it's really strong. Like, pretty much nobody can get past it. And so he has this move called like the third eye or something, and basically he has an eye that can spy on people. It like floats around. And so in my dreams, I would just be dreaming, all right? I'm just in the laboratory doing science shit, and then I just see him standing there all of a sudden, and I'm like, hi, what are you doing here, Gaara? And he would just stare at me, and I would just know. I was like, oh, I have to get up right now. And I would get up, and then some bullshit was happening. So I lived in a sketchy neighborhood before, and oh my god, I feel like the first time, I don't even remember, maybe someone was like, did someone set something on fire? There was so much bullshit that happened in the neighborhood. I don't even remember like what Gaara woke me up for. But I remember being like, oh, thank you for warning me about that. And then the second time happened again. He appeared to me randomly in a dream, and he just stared at me, and I just knew like I have to get up right now. I got up, it was like 2:33 in the morning, and 5 minutes later, this fucking crazy lady, like, sorry, I should have maybe used the word crazy, I don't know. The woman, she starts like ringing our doorbell like non-stop, and I was like, and she's not screaming like, help me, or anything, she's just like ringing our doorbell, and I was like, yeah, no, like either way I wouldn't have opened the door, but like he let me know like some bullshit's about to happen and you need to wake up right now. Again, like, don't open the door for weirdos at 3 in the morning, but also he just kind of prepared me, like let me know like something's gonna happen and don't trust it, and it's like the all-seeing eye thing that even when I was asleep he was like guarding the house, and then when I would wake up it would be like, cause he let me know like something's about to enter. He just let me know. So that was pretty cool. That it was, you know, such a protective spirit. Yeah, I'm gonna call Egregores spirits if you don't want to believe that they're spirits, because they're a design of the collective unconscious or whatever the fuck. Well, the collective consciousness, which is different, but whatever. Anyway, so that was my experience with Gaara, and then the experience with the twins was a little more chaotic, but that was kind of the point. I was in a negative space in my life, and I just kind of wanted to experience some more fun, and I didn't really want to call upon a god to do that, and I didn't really want to learn anything new, right? Like that's the thing when you start working with like gods or like, let's say, an animal spirit, like you have to do all this research. But when it's an egregore, like you kind of already get the gist, right? Like watching the Harry Potter movies is the research, basically. And so I worked with the Weasley Twins, and it's trickster energy. So sometimes my stuff would go missing. Thankfully, it was never anything important, right? Like, it's not like my keys go missing right before I'm trying to go to work or anything. It was just kind of like, I left this item right here and now it's not right here, what the fuck? Even now, like, I have the pages in order. I have my script here, so I know what I'm talking about. And for some reason, the page on the twins was like all the way in the back of my other pages that have nothing to do with this video. I'm like, why the fuck are you there? Like, you should be in, or I don't, They would bring knockings on my fucking walls, and the knocking would come in twos. So it'd always be 1, 2, and then it'd fucking stop, and then it'd be 1, 2 again later, and I'm like, oh my god. Even if it wasn't like, it would be like, and I'm like, oh my god, you guys are so annoying. Like, they would, so much knocking on the walls, and it always came in fucking twos. I made a playlist for them. I like to make playlists as a form of devotion to spirits that I'm working with. And it kept deleting itself. I'd be like, oh, I want to add this to the playlist, and the playlist did not exist. And I don't understand, because I was like, the Gaara playlist is fine. It's not a bug in the app. It was just the Weasley fucking playlist. Oh my god. And eventually I had added a lot of songs, and so it stopped deleting itself, but then it would fucking randomly play. Like, I would be listening to something else, and I'd be like, this isn't on this playlist. And I would look, and it's like, the Weasley play, and I'm like, when? Like, nobody switched it, what the fuck? Then I got them 4 separate candles, 2 each, and different brands, like different scents, and whenever I would light them, the wicks would always split in 2, and then when I would light the candle, it would turn on, and then it'd turn off. It was like one of those, like, trick, you know, like when you're trying to blow out the birthday candle, and then it, like, lights itself. I was like, what is going on? So that happens every fucking, like, with all of their candles, and I was like, this is so weird, because it's only happening with yours, and they're not the same brand, and I didn't get them at the same time or at the same store, so it's just like, it's their trickster bullshit. One time I'm literally, like, I'm never working with another trickster. Famous last words, right? My Chemical Romance. Anyway, I was working on a spell with them, and I was channeling the ingredients, and they were like, yes, put this in, yes, put that in, don't put that in. And Fred specifically was like, basil. And I was like, okay. And he's like, no. Trust me. My mistake. Lots of basil. And I was like, okay, alright. And then I was like, what about this? And he's like, yeah, whatever, but like basil. And I was like, okay, I'll put a lot of basil in this spell. So I put all the freaking herbs in, and then at the end, I was like, oh, there's not much left in this jar. I'll just pour the rest of the basil out since he wanted so much. Tell me why there's like fucking pantry beetles in the basil, and now they're all over my freaking herb mix, and I'm like, are you kidding me? And he's like, it's not gonna affect the spell. But I was like, cool. Now there's just dead bugs in this manifestation for luck. What the fuck? Oh my god. And then my last major experience was like, I don't even, how do I explain this? The Boozy Cauldron, not sponsored. Basically, it's this event that goes, it's a traveling event with alcohol. And basically, you watch the performance, and they give everybody in the audience a drink, round 1, round 2, another drink, round 3, another drink. I was under the impression, because a friend had invited me, I didn't really do any research, I was under the impression that it was gonna be like a comedy show where you watch the act, and there's a menu, and you can kind of like pick the drink that you want. And so I was like, I'll find something that they like, because canonically they like fire whiskey. So I was like, I'll get them something like cinnamon whiskey flavored. And then I got there. The Boozy Cauldron is like a wizardy situation, so we were dressed all witchy, whatever. It's wizard theme, it's magic themed. I figured out like, oh, there's not a menu, and these are the drinks you're gonna get, and not one of them are fire whiskey flavored. And so I was like, what am I gonna get them? Like, I freaking promised them a drink, and it's not like I can really sneak a drink out of here. Tell me why they fucking call me on stage. Tell me why they call. I'll tell you why, because I was working with the fucking Weasley Twins. And so I go up there because I was like, fuck it. Like, I called you here to add mischievous bullshit to my life, to make it more spontaneous, more adventurous, and here's the opportunity and I'm gonna say no. Like, what's the point of that? So I go on stage, do the thing, whatever. And as a reward, they give me a little glass jar of an alcohol drink. And they're like, enjoy your shot. And I'm like, I'm taking this home to the Weasley Twins. So I was able to sneak it out. I'm joking, for legal reasons. I drank it then and there. And they put mica in it so you can shake it and it's like glittery and cute. And I was like, oh, I got you guys a shot, like I said I would. I got you a drink. And then to add to the trickster bullshit, they had handed out the second round of drinks, and then they called me up on stage. And then when I got back, my friend was like, I was so excited for you that I guess, I don't know what she did. She did some kind of hand movement and it fucking knocked my drink over. So I was like, cool, cool, cool. So pour one out for the homies, whether I like it or not, I guess. In conclusion, it was overall a positive experience. I did choose Egregores that I had positive feelings towards already, and that I knew weren't carrying some kind of underlying trauma or like beast mode. Obviously, Gaara has two versions, so I was leaning towards the version that was healed. But yeah, that's something to consider when you're thinking about working with egregores. Also, like, you know, if you're working with an egregore of a god, like the egregore of God or Loki, or the egregore of Jesus, you know, just consider like maybe it'll be a lot more worship involved. I specifically chose non-god entities that were gonna be okay with me not worshiping them, because I was in a point in my life where I was like, I don't have the energy to keep up that kind of maintenance. And so that's a pro, right? Like, if you're low energy, or if you're not looking to have that kind of a commitment, I think an egregore is a great way to go. I also, again, as I had mentioned earlier, like, there can be research, right? Especially if you're going more with like a concept. I don't know, like maybe, for some reason Joan of Arc keeps coming to mind. It's not like you can really watch a movie, right? Like, there's so much cultural context to that. Or if you think of like Captain America, right? Like, how many versions of Spider-Man are there? To the point where they just made like the whole Spider-Verse. Like, now there's endless versions of Spider-Man. So just think about that. I don't know, when you're choosing which egregore you want to work with. I would also consider the popularity of the egregore, because the strength and the power that they have, right? Like, if it's something, a more obscure character might have more of a faint presence in your life. Again, versus like the egregore of God, which would be totally different. There's also, I would consider the personality. Like, if you don't like trickster energy and you don't fuck with that, and you don't like your things going missing, and you don't like things deleting themselves, like, reconsider the spirit that you're choosing. Because just because you like them as a character doesn't necessarily mean you're gonna like their energy in your space. I had a good experience ultimately, but I did reach a point in my practice where I just kind of had to let them go. And they knew. It was weird. They're like, yeah. They're very knowledgeable. It's so weird. Very wise, the fucking Weasley twins were teaching me a lot about business, and I was like, what the fuck? And then I started looking up their birth chart. I know, just to see what's going on. And they have Capricorn moons, and I'm like, this makes sense. Like, when I was asking them, like, pulling tarot cards with them, like, give me messages, they were giving me a lot of practical advice about, like, business and finance, and I was like, what the fuck? Like, I brought you in here for, like, trickster fun energy, and when I ask you for, like, a message, you're like, let me talk to you about money. And it totally makes sense. Like, there's things that I wasn't thinking about. Like, I see them as kind of, like, the straw man of, like, this archetype, right? Like, oh, the trickster, like, little ginger twins, they're over here, like, making a mess, and I, like, didn't even think, like, oh yeah, they own their own fucking business. Like, they bought out Zonkos. Like, I don't know. So there's, it's so interesting how, like, you know it's not a servitor. You know it's not coming from you, it's coming from the collective, and it very, like, the entities very much have their own personalities and their own, like, knowledge and wisdom. It's freaking, like, crazy. You should definitely, well, depending on your practice, whatever, I would encourage it, but that might not be your thing, I don't know. So thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video, and if you did, you know, give it a like, subscribe if you want to see more, or if you have any questions, you know, leave them in the comments, etc, etc. I think that's pretty much it. I gotta work on these outros, it's so bad. But yeah, thanks for watching, and see you on the other side.